Welcome to Expedient Means with Lynn Away on Time Mark Radio. Lynn currently resides in China and is the founder and head teacher of Guaijin Philocultural Society. He has extensive experience in Buddhist and Taoist meditation, Qigong, martial arts, and traditional Chinese medicine. To learn more about Lynn, please visit his website at www.guizhenhui.net. Tonight, Lynn will be discussing an introduction to the 50 Skandha demon states. So welcome back, Lynn. It's been a little while. We've had a bit of a break in between our last recordings.
Yeah, about a month or so or more.
It's just enough time to get ourselves into some of the Skandha demon states, right?
That's right. Man, I went off the rocker recently.
Yeah, getting thrown in jail for bar fighting and all that, eh?
I almost got arrested for the show having spiritual sensitive information, so
dragged away by the thought police. All right, so what are the 5 skandhas, Lynn?
I have no clue, man.
All right, conversation over.
That's it. Okay,
next week.
Let's go to the next one. 5 skandhas: form, feeling, cognition, formation, and consciousness. Actually, if anyone were to pick up the Heart Sutra, basically the Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, Guanyin Bodhisattva, speaks straight up about this. Very good.
Which of the 5 is most important?
And it's like saying, do you need your eyeball? Which eyeball is more important? Do you actually need your...
All right. So...
well, basically,
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, let everyone know, we did have a show on the 50 Skandha demon states as an introduction to what it entails, but didn't go extremely in-depth into the 50 of the states the Shakyamuni Buddha was talking about. So this time, in this series, we're going to be really going, really deep into discussing each state and what's going to happen with them.
And again, this comes from the Shurangama Sutra, right? So maybe just give a quick background on that in case people haven't heard the other show.
Yes, this is from the Shurangama Sutra. This is, if you put them in volumes, as the Buddhist Text Translation Society has, they've made 8 volumes, which consists of Master Xuanhua's commentary. So that is the reference in which we are basing our discussion on. So I am not, well, basically it's a commentary on a commentary. So I am not personally making this commentary all by myself. This is with help from Master Xuanhua and the Buddhist Text Translation Society, which takes great troubles to make their translations of texts available to everybody. So this is not it's not based on my merit and virtue that this comes here. This is on Master Xuanhua and the BTTS. So everyone, please do your research, and you will find all the info you need on the Shurangama Sutra and Mantra.
All right, so maybe you could also just give a brief explanation as to what the term skandha means.
Oh, I knew this question was going to come up. Okay, well, skandha is basically, let's see, what is known usually as the aggregates, kind of like functions or aspects that constitute the human being, things that, how do I say, move your mind. Okay, so basically we're going to call it the aggregate. People say the 5 aggregates, so we'll leave it like that. When it comes to, well, it's basically like, they're like components that make quote unquote an individual. Okay. It's kind of like an eye. Okay. It's like making you have an eye. Call it the ego, okay? Kind of like the senses as well. These things obstruct your mind, and they kind of, what's the word here I'm looking for? Yes, people, it's still the same old problem. My English to Chinese or my Chinese to English becomes a problem for me.
All
So
right.
basically,
In other words, you can't describe it.
I
I'm
I can
just,
describe this. I just losing my English.
I'm just teasing you. All right. Well, that having said, I guess if anyone wants, they could probably certainly look it up in some of the Buddhist commentaries. I'm sure there's some good descriptions of what it actually means as well, right?
Well, look, you have your feelings, Skandha, the mind. You have the senses. So we're looking at the five skandhas. So we're looking at our senses. Okay,
All right. So should we just jump into it?
let's go into this right away. Been
So
waiting for this for a while.
how do you want to do it? Just want to jump right into the first state, or?
Well, we gotta understand. We're talking about demonic states, but we gotta understand what is the origin of demonic states. Okay, now we can. Many people will say, "Well, that's just from the Buddhist perspective of there being demons and how the demonic states appear. That's just from Buddhist perspective." But really, no, it's not from a Buddhist perspective because this isn't dogma. This is the things that you experience in your cultivation, and they go unnoticed. You see, you can just be doing any type of meditation from any type of tradition, and these are going to be states that just pop up out of the blue. And sometimes they're so subtle that you don't even recognize what's going on. You may get states of feeling arrogant and whatnot, or feeling states of wonderfulness and bliss, and you think you hit it. You think you hit the highest peak of the mountaintop when you only got over a hill, and they can become so subtle that we're taken by it, and we fool ourselves and create more notions on it. So the Buddha just turned around and said, "Wait a second, before I leave." Basically, the story goes like this: after he was done explaining the Sharingama Sutra, okay, he was ready to get off his throne, his seat, and he realized, wait, there's going to be these cultivators um, who can't even recognize these subtle states. So let me sit back down. Let them know what's going on. And he said, for the sake of you all, because you're not going to recognize these small states when they occur, it's possible you may be taken by them, by your senses, and by your mind. So we got to cover these little areas here. Let me start explaining to you in a general manner 50 demon states that may occur in your cultivation, in your different levels of cultivation, or different experiences. So he just said 50, but they can be 5 million states. It's just all complexities here and there.
Yeah, exactly. And same as in Taoism, they say the myriad things or the 10,000 things. It really can be in unlimited numbers. Just sort of means a lot, right?
Yeah, just means a lot. It could be any combinations. It could be a combination of 25 different things altogether influencing your emotions. Okay, and these are things people must recognize if they're cultivating. It can happen. It does happen. It has happened. We just never realized. Okay, that's the big problem. I've experienced them. My students have experienced them. And every cultivator goes through some mannerism of these types of states. And believe it or not, even non-cultivators go through these things too. They don't have to be sitting there purposely in meditation trying to find their original nature or try to see their original face and all of a sudden have this experience. People go through these things all the time. These are so common that it's not even funny.
I noticed too at the beginning of the commentary, Master Zen Hua talks about all the different entities, or not necessarily just demon states, but there's actually beings and whatnot that don't want you to achieve any level of cultivation as well, right?
Right. He mentions in the commentary, you'll find it's basically speaking from the Chinese translation. of the sutra. So what Master Hua is leaving in there is Li and Wang Liang ghosts. Okay, Li Mei and Wang Liang ghosts. And when he explains this, he's letting you know these are like ghosts and goblins. Okay, that may come around to screw around with you, basically. Okay.
All right, sir. All right, let's jump into it.
Got cut off. Okay, I thought we just got cut off.
Yeah, Skype's acting a bit funny today again. Maybe
It is. Let's just not even go there.
No.
It happens to us all the time. Okay, well, basically, the origin of demonic states in this aspect of the sutra, it's explaining exactly what happened. The Buddha was getting out of his seat, and then he turned around and says, "Hey, wait. There's going to be more of you who have a lot more to learn. There's going to be some of you who will have a lot to learn." And he points out those enlightened to conditions, those who are hearers, who have turned the minds to pursue the attainment of Supreme Bodhi, the unsurpassed wonderful enlightenment. Now I'm quoting directly from the sutra itself. Okay, so it's basically, Master Hua goes to explain that the Buddha recognized that there's going to be a problem, and people are going to fall into these states. So he says, okay, look, I got to let you all know. This is what's going to happen. Okay? And he points out that, sorry, talking about this gets me very excited. And it's also very cold in my office. So the Buddha, you can say, he was waiting. He knew that something was going to be going on here. And he says, let me let you guys know. Okay? Turns around and says, there's going to be beings who have gotten to the first level of arhatship, to the fourth level of arhatship. There's going to be those who got enlightened to conditions, those who have gotten enlightened, or who have awakened to the hearing method. But they're still going to be turned by demonic states. Very, very, very subtle states. And that's what he starts to explain here. That these demonic states, okay, because you're not aware of how subtle they are, they turn you from inside out, and that's what makes them dangerous.
Well, I guess if you easily recognize the state, that would kind of defeat the purpose, right? I mean, if you easily recognize it, it's not going to be very effective. So, of course,
yeah, basically, yeah,
the subtlety of it is the danger.
Right. It's basically when you're doing meditation, but not just doing meditation. I mean, if you're in practices in cultivation and you're looking in emptiness practices, sometimes we get a little taken. We may not understand what kind of experience we got, or we got a nice feeling of something, and again, it just happens. We get taken, and you don't know you got taken because it happens so slowly, subtly, so quietly. And why does it happen? It states because the mind, in the sutra it states, the mind has not been proper. There was something still not right in one's views. There were deviant views, maybe habits, maybe views about those habits. Okay.
Sorry, my cat's going crazy here and stuff. Yes. So again, I mean, as far as meditation, that's the whole point of polishing the mirror, right? Is you're essentially trying to eradicate these false views and eradicate these false thinking, so that you won't get taken into those states.
Right. See, because in meditation, if one is actually entering meditation, they're not just sitting there in the posture, they're not just sitting there thinking about what they're doing. They're not moved by the things they're doing and the things they're not doing. That means when someone throws a rock at your window, you're not going, huh? What was that? The earth above, the earth below, and the sky above, they disappear. Time itself is not relevant to you in your perception and conception of things. So therefore, you can't tell yourself, "Oh, I'm sitting nice and still and quiet," and go, "Oops, I was just thinking. Let me stop thinking," and then you stop thinking. No. Remember, the second you're moved, the breath begins again. When you hit certain states in meditation, you just get into the door of meditating, your breath may stop and the internal breath kicks in. But that's not high level. That's very basic. That's just I just got to the doorway kind of practice. Just got there.
Yeah, and
And
in the commentary, they actually discuss. I can't remember the fellow's name, but he thought he had essentially achieved Buddhahood and thought he would never die and thought he wouldn't age and everything. But then he basically thought he was a lot farther down the path than he actually was. And then when he started to get old, he essentially started saying Buddhism was fake and that, you know, the words of Buddha
right,
spoke were no good, and started defaming the Buddha. But really, it's
right.
because his mind was stuck in false views.
And how many people do that where they're saying, I've done supposed Buddhist meditation for 15, 20, 30, 40 years. I didn't get anywhere. And then I started doing Qigong and I started to feel like wonderful.
Like
Well,
I could do you could do a Google search and you could probably pull up about 50 or 60 Buddhas right now. People that claim they're Buddhas, I should say, right?
Oh man, yeah. Supreme enlightened, wonderful being, and all these wonderful names they give themselves. And you know what? It's not it. I mean, you know, people get a little taste of bliss, or a lot of taste of bliss, or they get some taste of realization of some type of wisdom here and there, and they think, wow, I've hit it, I've gotten it. But no, they didn't get anything yet. The more we feel we've attained, we actually did not get anything at all. It's loss. It's investing in the loss. Let go of everything. Put it down. What we've realized, let it go. Since 1988, I've been cultivating. Last year, I even said this in one of our talks in last year. I sat down and I really went back to the grind with the Shurangama Sutra, and I went right to the 50 Skandha demon states and just really, really focused on that every single day for hours, every single day for a good, I think, a month or so, month and a half. I've been reading the sutra every day since 2005. Well, not every day, but I mean since 2005. Throughout the year, I've taken time throughout the year, each year, and I can put my finger and count 5-6 months out of the year, I've been really putting myself into focusing on this. So since 2005. Anyway, when I really focused all my energy into it for that month, I got this realization that, holy whatever, wow, nothing. Everything that I had known before, throw it in the garbage. I mean, of course, it was useful. But I mean, after you realize that's just the tip of everything, you sit there and you're excited. You see everything again and you go, wow, I see it all. But I still don't know it all. And that's the wonderful part of it. Just when you're getting there, you get slapped in the head. And that slap lets you know, no. Look on that direction. Oh, look over there. Oh, look over here. And you go, all right, there's still more to go. You know?
Never ends.
It never ends, and you can think it's going to, because then it just puts more different views. So our demonic states arise because of problems in our notions, problems in our mind, how we're viewing things, and we call those things deviant views. You know, some people are like, it's okay to do drugs and do your cultivation, you'll be fine. No, you don't do that. That's a deviant view. You know, be an alcoholic and drink. There were some Buddhists who drank wine, but maybe they weren't Buddhas, they were Buddhists cultivating.
Yeah.
You know, and they were still humans who still had afflictions, who were still taken by the skandhas and still, you know, hit with demonic states. Who knows? You don't know their states. We can't assume from the periphery that they did it, so it's okay. You just got to assume that they're not following the rules. Let me not do that. Let me just worry about myself.
Right. I'm just reading through the sutra again here, and there's one part at the start that kind of is sort of a good jump-in point, maybe. Due to the fault of false thinking and confusion about the truth, infatuation arises and makes your confusion all pervasive. Consequently, an emptiness appears. Worlds come into being as that confusion is ceaselessly transformed. Therefore, the lands that are not without outflows, as numerous as motes of dust throughout the 10 directions, are all created as a result of confusion, dullness, and false thinking. It's kind of
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of, well, I guess everything in that sutra is pretty deep, but
it is. To really go into each explanation for what it's worth, and we'll be here for a very long time because there's so much state in each combination of how we're using these words. It's unbelievable. We're getting screwed up connection too, just on this topic. Sometimes you come in a little cracking in here. So
Yeah, I think you're breaking up a bit on my end too, but it's just, I guess it's been one of those mornings so far, just right from the get-go.
Yeah. Anywho, it talks here that in cultivating the great Shurangama Samadhi, okay, and cultivating Vipassana, the method of subtle contemplation, demonic states arise, and in the process of cultivation, many demonic states can arise. And they're not very obvious, and we just talked about that too. It also states here in the sutra, it's very, 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 extremely obscure, so you really can't recognize these things when they're occurring. When you direct the hearing inward to listen to inherent nature, and these demonic states appear, and you don't recognize a demon, you don't know what a demon is, it's going to be a problem. And it goes to, we must learn to cleanse our mind. And people will think cleansing, I'm sitting in tranquility and I have the wonderful flowing of the ocean sounds in my iPod, and I feel so refreshed. And no, that's being taken by the skandhas itself also. So it's not, it's more about how we're going to put down our attachment. In Chinese, we say 放下. It's to put down, let it go. So whatever we still find a likeness to, an attachment to, understand you're doing the work of letting go. And once a cultivator realizes what that means, and they got a taste of that lightness of having let go, they'll understand that they had never had a grasp on it. The grasping was the illusion.
So how, I guess this might be a weird question, and probably I guess the answer could be very different depending on the situation, but how do most people perceive these states? I mean, are they going to see an entity, or are they going to hear voices, or are they going to have a sensation?
No, it's too external. If they've seen things and heard voices, then it wouldn't be a subtle influence from a demonic state. It's so subtle where it's your own voice. It's so subtle that it's your own notions. It's so subtle that it's your own impression to make you feel like you are coming up with a whole new entire way of thinking. Oh, this hasn't been done before. Right. And you feel that excitement about what you're doing, and all of a sudden your mind is going nonstop, creating more thoughts about what it is you think is the best way to do things, and all of a sudden you feel empowered. And then 2-3 days later, that feeling goes away, and you're wondering how you can maintain that feeling. You've already been taken by the demonic state. And the time period of it has ended, but you're attached to that feeling of elation that the person is attached to that feeling of elation, that they keep trying to look for more of that feeling, like one who takes drugs, and once that hit of taking it the first time, they feel great and wonderful, and after about 5 or 6 times later, they don't get that state anymore, but they keep trying and trying until they overdose.
So it's definitely more of an internal thing then than an external.
Yeah, now that's the good point you're bringing up, because it may come from your own mind, your own afflictions, your own aggregates, the own skandhas, your own personal mind itself, or they can come from external. It can be from outside. Now, when it's produced by your own mind, the sutra goes, you may be troubled by a demon from your own skandhas, or a demon from the heavens, or you may be possessed by a ghost or spirit. You may encounter a Lee ghost or a May ghost. If your mind is not clear, you will mistake a thief for your own son. That's the sutra. Master Hua goes to explain that he's trying to clear up what the Buddha was saying. You'll be troubled from a demon from your own skandhas. That means a demon produced from your own mind, or one of the 10 kinds of demons produced from the form skandha. Okay, which we'll get into the different types of skandhas deeper into this discussion in future recordings. Now, he goes, one of the 10 kinds of demons produced from the form skandha, which is also of your own making. Now, these are from your own making, your own mind. These are the attachments you have for things. But then he goes to explain you may be attacked from a demon of the heavens. He goes, why? Why should a demon from the heavens come to disturb you? That's an interesting question, that Master Hua presents for everyone. You're thinking, I have no relation to the beings in the heavens. I mean, really, I don't know them from a hole in the wall. And it's going, well, maybe it's your cultivation is doing pretty well. You have some good samadhi power. You have some good concentration power. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Your concentration starts to shake those who want to have control. It starts to shake the realms of these spirits, ghosts, demons, or whatnot that are out to get more people part of their group. And you send a shockwave, like an earthquake, in their realm. They go, where did that come from? And they're searching, and they find, oh, look, this little guy over here. Let's go see how good he got. And they come in and they start making you sick. They start bringing, maybe if you're a man, women around you. If you're a woman, men around you. Putting a lot of different types of things around you to break your concentration and make you break your energy, make you break your vows if you've taken any. And if you're following the rules, they try to make you break the rules. On top of that, they try to take your energy and see how strong you are. They try to suck your energy away.
So they're essentially, the best thing to do is use all these things as an expedient, right?
I wouldn't say befriend external demons. I would just say keep your focus and cultivate. As a safeguard, I tell all my students, as a safeguard for your practices, please recite the Buddha's name. Amitabha Buddha. Please recite Guan Yin's name. Please recite Shakyamuni's name. Please recite any Buddha's name that you feel affinity to. Please recite that as a safeguard before your practice, before you go into meditation. Maybe when your mind gets moved and you find yourself, I lost my concentration. Just stop what you're doing, recite again, and start again, or continue again. And then when you finish your meditation or your deep investigation, you recite again. Just as a safeguard. Because you want to keep that mind pure. You want to keep it on the straight road and narrow path of cultivation so you don't go off and go, oh, but the feelings of emotions are wonderful. Why do I have to deny these natural things? Because they're only natural because, which is so amazingly important to understand. These emotions are just said to be natural, but they are not as we think natural is. We consider them to be natural because we have no clue where they come from. We just feel them. So we figure, oh, they don't have an origin that I know of. They're just coming from me. This is me. I am this happy thing. I am this loving thing. I am this angry thing. I go with my emotions. That's the way of nature, and that's the way of the way. You know, but actually, who said that's the way of the way? I didn't see a tree jumping for joy because it has a leaf on it. You know? Right. You see that happening out there. You don't see flowers jumping all over the place saying, hey, I'm a flower. I smell really great. Yay, I feel wonderful. No, they're not jumping around. Humans jump around. Animals jump around. They feel emotion. They just jump. That's their receptors. That's the only way these animals can do things. But the humans have choices. The humans understand choice because they have the karmic conditions to be in a situation to have the way to choose or discriminate. So these emotions really are not as natural as we assume they are. They are natural because they're constantly happening to us in the sense where we lose focus on where they actually arise from and how they arise. When you know the origin of something, it is no longer what we had thought it was.
Okay, so that's pretty deep stuff. So,
I hope so.
I mean, if obviously if you're getting, I mean, I don't know how you're supposed to. Aside from just meditating and investigating the mind, I mean, how are you going to recognize these states?
That means mindfulness, my dear Watson.
What if
mindfulness.
What if they're very subtle? Then like.
That's the point. If we are focused in what we're doing, and we understand that anything outside of the education we're getting in cultivation, okay, that arises. Let me rephrase that because I think I got cut off a little bit. Anything outside of the education we're getting in cultivation that arises may not be exactly what we're supposed to be cultivating. So that means if you get any notion, and this is why the sutras are important and commentaries are important, and having a teacher is very important. We call them good and wise advisors. Any notion that arises in your mind, any state, any feeling, any vision, whatever, when you're cultivating, or I should say when you're investigating the mind, when you're sitting in meditation, anything that arises, leave it alone. continue your breathing, continue your focus, your concentration, your recitation of whatever it is you're reciting, your focus on on investigating the hearing, turning the hearing inward. Just focus on that. If a Buddha appears, leave him alone. If a demon appears, leave him alone. If feelings appear, leave it alone. It comes and goes. It's none of your business. Your business is focusing on what you're doing at that moment. Anything else is just extra. You didn't pay for that. That just comes along with the package and you don't need to have it. Why? Because it's only going to take you away. When you get out of the focus or get out of your practice, say you sat for 3 hours. Okay, good. You call your teacher up. Or you go to the sutras that you've been studying. Maybe you're studying one sutra for 5 years. You go strictly to that sutra and you start going back and reading. And if what you know, the notions that have arisen, if whatever notion has arisen in your mind during your cultivation period of sitting for 3-4 hours or so, whatever notion arose that does not fit with what is coming out of that sutra, you disregard it. Some of us like to think, oh, I've attained this type of realization, but the sutra doesn't fit with what I said. Well, maybe the Buddha didn't know what he's talking about, and I know better. Okay, so do that. And that's not the way to go. So this is where people come in, well, that's just taking dogma. That's just taking the sutras for the golden word of everything. That's the point. You're putting trust that the Buddha is not leading you into the wrong way. And how can you truly be sure? Well, if you came across these teachings and your predecessors have been not just revered, you can't look at how many people loved them and revered them. You got to look at they've been revered because of what? They've been virtuous. They were full of merit. They've done wonderful, great deeds for people. Okay? They kept propagating the proper teachings, and they did so with great compassion and wisdom. And why would they go for great compassion and wisdom? Because what they've said and what they explained are in accord with what the Buddha had said. And if they are seen to be awakened and enlightened, so be it. You can trust that. But if they were sitting there having sex with 5 million women, drinking wine, smoking cigarettes, doing drugs while they're reading a sutra, forget about it.
Actually, that sounds like a good cult. I'm going to join that one.
Which is so funny. That's not good. That's not the example. You're looking at, did they follow the rules that they said they're going to follow? Did they stick to the precepts they have taken? Because that is their teacher. That is their guide. The Buddha is not in the world in his physical body in which he was 3,000 plus years ago. So how do you know if a person is actually doing what they're supposed to be doing? You see their deportment. You see the way they are. You see their character, the way they hold themselves. But you can't be a full judge of that because you're still human. But you look for the predecessors. Teachers. Yeah, predecessor is the right word. My English is getting screwy. Those who've come before. That's predecessor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. You look at them. Did they follow their rules? What have they accomplished? What people did they touch and how did they work with these people? You look at their virtue. You look at the being they are and what they've done. That'll let you know. And if you say, they were following too strictly this and too strictly that. My way is better. There's a problem there because they never thought that way about their teachers. And they've gotten the same level or further than their teachers have gotten. So they've kind of are on the right path. It's like someone coming to me and saying, I'm wonderfully enlightened. I'm like, all right, good. Go jump off the roof. What the hell does that mean? That means there's no reason for you to be, telling everybody you're enlightened. I mean, what's wrong with you?
I was going to say,
I'm confused. I don't know what to do.
The whole my path is better. I mean, that's a good sign right there that they're probably starting to fall into a skandha state, right?
Yeah. Well, then people are going to argue, well, the Buddha said this is the right path. This is the only path. The Buddha said, if you want to get this is how you got to go. And he did that. Now, people can doubt, and that's their own prerogative. That's their own karma. They're only going to doubt. The point of when we say taking refuge in Buddhism is that you put faith that these teachings are wholesome. But you're not putting faith in teachings outside of your original nature. The Buddha never said, you got to trust me and only me and I will be your way. He said, no, the way is the original nature which we all have. So basically saying, go investigate your mind. It's in you. I can only give you a layout of how to do it. You got to do the hard work. Okay, so he's not really asking anybody to praise him. He's saying, I'm telling you how to do this. I mean, really telling you how to do this. What's wrong with your ass? Why aren't you doing it? Because you're afflicted and you're afflicted by this. And he goes into vast detail in the Sharingama Sutra on what happens with the mind. Basically, you want to call it the whole entire encyclopedia of psychology. He lays it out for you in the Sharingama Sutra, straight up.
So are the Skandha demon states, are they primarily like attachments, or are they just, I guess, something that's going to lead
attachments, you? Right. Views, attachments, and anything that will move you or lead you on the path to getting away from you. Basically this. When we say in Taoism, the Jing Qi Shen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jing Qi Shen, essence, energy, and spirit. Well, that's not exclusive to Taoism. You know, people got to stop at this. Taoism has Jing Qi Shen. What does Buddha have? Jing Qi Shen also. I mean, it's human. It's part of the beings, of living beings. It's part of what a living being is. So, when your energy, essence, and spirit is being taken from you, rest assured you're being taken by a Skandha state, a demon state. Whether it's your own doing or something from the outside. Now, don't think, the demons are coming to get me. I'm pretty damn cool. No, they already got you. Oh, well, I have demons knocking on my door and I blast them around with this mantra and that mantra. No, you don't. Really, you don't. And when I talk about things like this, from my own experience, it's really just a teaching tool. As an example for people and what they can do to help protect themselves and their family and friends and maybe the rest of people in society or in their community against external demonic influences. But truthfully, it doesn't mean you're great. You know that you have demons knocking on your door because you're shaking their heavens up. They already entered your mind, man. So people who praise that they fight demons here and fight demons there and say, I'm great, and they want to try to stop me. Well, actually, I don't think they want to try to stop you. They want you to keep doing how you're doing because that's good for them.
Yeah, you're basically, well, there's different ways to handle them, but I mean, to go in and start running at your enemy with a sword, yelling and screaming, trying to chop him in half, right? Like, there might be a better way to handle a situation sometimes.
Yes. So, getting back to this origin of demon states, this is just basically the beginning portion of the volume 8 of the Sharingama Sutra. Okay, we haven't even touched on the types of states yet. We're just going on a regularly just generally hitting the beginning aspect of why they come up, what happens, and that first beginning aspect, and that's very important for people to, get a clear idea of in cultivation. Okay.
Right.
Now, there's an aspect here where it just talks very little bit about being possessed by a demon. Like, why would they come and possess you? Why would even heavenly demons come and possess you? It's because you're getting somewhere in your practice. Maybe you're just a really good, virtuous human being. You have great conduct. You don't even practice the Buddhist teachings. So what? Buddhist teachings are just called Buddhist teachings because that's the language we use on this planet. It's a cultivation method. And it's general. It's general and it's direct, covering a vast expanse of our universes out there.
One of the things I was going to bring up is that a lot of people look at some, a virtuous person that has bad luck or something negative happens to them. They'll say, "Oh, that's proof that there is no karma, there's no God, there's no anything, right? That if this person's good, you would think he'd be rewarded, but look what happened to him." So they'll kind of use these negative events almost as a disproof of spirituality, right? When in fact, it would make sense that the virtuous people would be the ones most likely to be attacked, right? To shake their faith and concentration and whatnot.
Pretty much. I mean, who cares that a virtuous person gets shot at? I mean, really, what's the big deal? People always want to criticize and always want to feel like they're right. Right away, that's taken by their mind.
Yeah.
They're already. Yeah. I mean, if you have no clue of something whatsoever, why are you going to criticize it and talk about it? Seriously, I had no clue about the Islam faith. So I asked my friends, What is this about? How do I do? What do you understand of this? How is this? Tell me some stories. I want to know. Inform me so I can ask more intelligent questions to you. Okay, I don't talk about anything until I know about something, quote unquote. No. So karma,
Right.
and why does it happen to good people? Because it's not a ruling body. Karma is not a ruling body. There's no person sitting there going, this guy's bad, I'm going to make sure he gets this. And that guy's bad, I'm going to make sure he gets that. No, there's no God that goes, you are bad, I'm going to chop your head off now. Because that's karma. No, 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 no. You do that to yourself. People, not you, but people do it to themselves. It's of their own doing. Whether you're good or bad, things happen to people. So what? You're a good and virtuous person. You can't be a good and virtuous person because bad things are going to happen to you anyway? Good. Let it happen. That's called, quote unquote, quote unquote, living. You walk outside. A bird poops on your head. Okay. I should have wore a hat. You know, what if I went out 2 minutes earlier or went out 2 minutes later? Maybe the outcome would have been different. Sure, probably. Who knows? I mean, ask the bird, you know? Or you can go in and find out if you want to go into the complexity of when a bird poops on your head. I mean, really, it's really ridiculous. It's trivial and it's a waste of time. So, I mean, things happen. We make them bad or good. We think losing life is a terrible thing and maintaining life is a wonderful thing. When in fact, life doesn't get lost. You know, life does not die. But we see these changes of living and dying. Why? Because these are the concepts in our mind over countless lifetimes. I want to say another word, but I'll just use countless lifetimes.
Right.
Because I'm just going to be straight up. Over countless lifetimes, over extremely long periods of times, we've had these specific views. The mass consciousness has these specific views. So generally, you will have these specific views. You will be brought up with these views, and it's hard to change because they're deeply rooted. They can be changed, but they're hard to change. So these demon states arise because of our own mind. If your inside is nice and happy and clean and calm and fuzzy, then you should be okay. But you're still going to get tested here and there. I mean, how many times I almost fall down the stairs? I mean, I've been practicing standing meditation, walking practices, sitting practices, and, since I'm 8 years old. I'm 34 this year. 3 months would be 34. By the Chinese calendar, I think I'm already 34, 35. I don't know. But anyway. It doesn't matter, 25 somewhat years you're doing this. Maybe your foot got cramped. Maybe you just, were too lazy to lift your foot up for something. And you fall down, or you almost fall down, or you catch yourself, or you slip on ice, or you slip on water, or you slip in your house. I mean, my wife is a wonderful person. And just the other day, she's walking in the kitchen, and our floor is so slippery even when it's not wet. It's just slippery when you have slippers on. And she slipped. Thankfully, she didn't break anything. She didn't hurt herself badly. She just slipped and fell and hurt her arm on the countertop. I walked over, just put some herbal liniment on her arm, rubbed it out really good. The next morning, she was fine. But a week and a half ago, when we just got back, she was holding the baby, and she slipped and she fell backwards, and she fell against the couch. Thankfully, the couch was there. She hit her head on the couch, her neck on the couch, and her back on the couch. The day after, I worked on her neck and back, and the day after that, she was fine. But she's a wonderful person, never hurt a fly. She's afraid to kill bugs, except mosquitoes, because they can poison the baby, But anyway, you see, she's a wonderful person, and she slips and falls. Now, is that a bad thing? In Buddhism, we call these states of, what most people would consider to be negative, is our negative karma, or a bad karma clearing away. Because a bigger situation could have happened. So we get the smaller situation happen. A little fall, a little sprain here and there, and then all of a sudden everything is okay. 2 days later, we're okay. Well, that's just getting rid of some of our afflictions. But the second we grasp and go,
right, but
oh my
again,
God, negative state, we get taken by negative views.
Yeah, and as you sort of touched upon there, the person that would look at that and say, well, that means karma doesn't exist, or that means it's all just random, bad things happen to good people. That person that's making those statements would be sort of, his mind would be in a sort of Skandha demon state at that point anyhow, right?
Yeah. I mean, you sorry, people want to say there's no such thing as karma, that, excuse me for saying this shit happens. Well, it happens because you don't know the origin of it happening. If you know the cause, the outcome is very clear, then you'll do everything in the middle to change that outcome. So when good things happen to bad people, it doesn't mean karma doesn't exist. Who said karma means only the good things happen to the good and the bad things happen to the bad? Who made it so black and white? It's not black and white. That's the misnomer people have. They think, oh, good gets good, bad gets bad, and then someone 25 years old who does good things, or actually he only can do good things because he's only 25 years old. He hasn't gone further into his life, and then dies. And says, oh, the good die young. No, it's just because he was young and probably did things that should not have been done, and or had conditions to lead him to this specific place. So we can go deeper into causes and conditions. And people can argue left and argue right. But the fact is, you have no clue why these things happen. So I even bother trying to figure out if it's true or not. It happened. Leave it alone. It's very simple.
Okay.
So going further here is just that in the last aspect we were talking about, mistaking a thief for your son, Master Hua explains his point here and says, how can they not rob or steal your possessions? When you take in a thief and assume that the thief is your friend, you invite a thief into your home, then all the priceless treasures in your home are stolen. What happens? Well, you took a friend inside, a guy you just met who decides wants to be your friend. You let him in your house. He knows exactly where everything is in your house. And when you're out one day, he comes in and just steals everything. Okay, well, is it mistaken a thief for your own son or a best friend? Okay, we do this with our thoughts. We entertain our emotions, our viewpoints, okay, here and there, and our experiences here and there. And we think, oh, this is wonderful. I want it again. And it steals our energy. Okay, steals our treasures. And it's a treasury of our, basically it's our inherent nature, our inherent wisdom. It's not that it can't get stolen. What we're talking about is your energy, your essence energy, your spirit. These things can be drained from you. You don't want that away from you. You want to keep it. Remember in the journey to the West, the Tangsung, the monk who was going to the West to get the sutras, going to India to get the sutras, Xuanzang, the story goes, he had demons come who wanted to eat his flesh. It wasn't that they wanted to eat his body. These weren't flesh-eating demons. They wanted his essence, energy, and spirit. They wanted his jing, qi, shen. They wanted his cultivation. They wanted to stop him. They wanted to cause obstructions in him and make him fall off the path and make him stop. But he was able to manage, and he strengthened his resolve. That's why he attained Buddhahood. It's all metaphorical for all the demon states that occur in your mind as a cultivator, from external and internal. And then all of a sudden, if you can withstand all that pressure, your diamond is formed. If you don't, you fall to pieces and you lose.
So there's not real demons that want to eat your flesh out there?
There are demons that want to eat flesh. But we're not going into those kind of demon states now, are we? We're just going into the internal demon states of the skandhas. You're
I'm just trying to throw your concentration off. use me as an expedient.
Oh yes, thank you, Oolong. So basically, everyone, I suggest, this has just been a very brief encounter of the origin of demon states in the beginning of the 8th volume of the Shurangama Sutra. Please go and check, Google search BTTS Shurangama Sutra, and you will find all 8 volumes there, and you can download them for free. And you'll have Master Hua's commentary. What we're going to do here is just discuss certain points of each aspect of the following, 50 states. This is just the beginning aspect, and we're not going through doing a formal commentary of each section of what the Buddha said in the sutra, and then with the commentary of Master Hua, and then my commentary, because we'll be here for a very long time. We're going to take certain points of different types of aspects of each specific state that's spoken of in the sutra. So this is what you can expect. The next show would be, we were going to take 2 states every show and go into them. Okay, so I look forward to that. Also, if anyone wants a copy of the Shurangama mantra, In Chinese transliteration, feel free to contact me, guizhenhui@yeah.net. Just write in mantra in the subject line, and I will send you a copy of the mantra in Chinese transliteration. Hopefully you can read pinyin.
Well, once we set the interview to YouTube, we can also probably put a link up for the sutra.
Yeah, definitely. Hello?
Hello.
Oh, okay. I think I didn't hear the last part here.
Oh, sorry.
I think you said we'll leave a link for the sutra, right?
Yeah. That's essentially all I said. Again, Skype's acting a little bit flaky, so.
Just to put it out there, every time we talk about stuff like this, we get a little crazy connection.
Yeah, it seems to be par for the course, doesn't it?
Yes. Anywho, I think that's good for this talk. We got a lot more to go into. This is going to be very deep, very heavy. I think it's very much needed. Everyone needs to cultivate, and everyone should take the Shurangama Sutra, the Shurangama Mantra, as their bones, as their blood, as their bone marrow, their skin, and everything. Take it as your body. This is so important. If you can awaken to this teaching, there is wonderful things that happen. Why? Because it's called awakening. And that's wonderful. Take the Shurangama as your food. Take it as your air. Take it as everything as part of you. I'm telling you, people, I'm pleading. Not as a, don't look at these things as religious texts. I don't. I see them as educational texts, texts that lay out the method of cultivation. So please, check it out. I'm really like pleading with people to cultivate us, look at it, read it. If you never pick it up again, fine. But take it with commentary. And please investigate, work it out. And that's it.
Okay. Well, thanks again for joining us, Lynn, despite all the technical difficulties we had this morning. And yeah. I'll end with a little quote from an author called Terry Pratchett. So over the centuries, mankind has tried many ways of combating the forces of evil: prayer, fasting, good works, and so on. Up until doom, no one seemed to have thought about the double-barrel shotgun, eat lead, death, demon. It's from Terry Pratchett. I kind of butchered it at the end, but anyway,
wow.
That's the idea.
Eat lead, death, demon.
All right, that's a wrap.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.